Meeting to order, if you would, stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Klein.
Here.
Alderwoman Dobbs. Here. Alderman Fahey.
Here.
Alderman Donovan.
Here.
Alderman Huey.
Here.
Alderman Eidman. Alderman Ross.
Here.
Alderman Prince.
Here.
Alderman Steyer.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will look for approval of tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve.
Mayor, I'd like to make a change to the agenda.
Yep.
I'd like to pull out resolution 2025-41 out of the consent agenda.
Okay. So I have a motion to remove resolution 2025-41 from the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll look for,
So now you have to
Approval
approve
of
the
the-
agenda as amended.
yep.
So moved.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. At this time, we'll move down to the city administrator's report.
Well, it's sitting on my computer and we've been running all day today. So I apologize. If we get a break here in a moment, I may go print them off and bring them back.
Okay.
Bring your report before the end of the evening.
Okay. Any highlights you remember?
That we're closed on Monday.
Okay.
That was the biggest thing,
Okay, good.
or the smallest thing. Anyway, we're closed on Monday for Labor Day.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize, but it's my last meeting.
There you go.
What are you gonna do?
We're going to reprimand you. I think.
Great, thank you. Light me up.
All right. At this time, then, we will move along to staff reports. I think first up tonight, we've got Alliance Water. Erica, you giving that one?
Andy.
And, all right. Erica and Dave. All right, let's do it.
Dave is here because he is going to be able to answer any questions you have about what is in the report. But I figured what you would be most interested in is the status of the smoke testing and the next steps there. So Dave is actually the one who did the smoke testing earlier this week. The next step is to get a crawler camera. And we have made a phone call and we expect that to be in the next few weeks of getting that in here and getting some more information about what's going on in that area. So we are on it. But again, any questions specifically about what's in the report? Dave's going to be the one to answer those.
What is in the report?
What is in the
What
report?
does it say? In the end, what happened with the smoke test?
Oh, with the smoke testing. Tell them about that.
So we have a couple of areas of concern, one of which is for the crawler camera. The line that comes from the jail has too much flow for a push camera, so we have to have something bigger that get us above that flow. We had the smoke blower going for about 30 to 45 minutes and didn't get any smoke coming out of any of the roof vents or anything.
No smoke anywhere.
Right.
So
It was-
smoke test very sensitive or is it very specific?
It's very specific to defects in the sewer. We expect to see it from the roof vents of any residents, commercial buildings. It's basically a direct line, does what it's supposed to vent sewer gases out.
So if you see it, for sure there's a leak there.
No, from the roof vent, that's what it's supposed to do. What we're looking for is anything out of the ordinary. If it's coming from the ground, coming from a storm manhole, if it's coming from a gutter system on the buildings, that would indicate they have the gutters tied to the laterals, which is not supposed to happen.
You don't see smoke, and can there still be a problem and a leak, or is it very sensitive and it finds it all?
With the not seeing smoke anywhere, the question is where's the smoke going? So that's what we need to find out with the crawler camera, see if there's a large defect. It wasn't coming out of any of the vented storm covers, so it wasn't making it to the storm, but it had to be going somewhere. And that's what we don't know on that part. And then over on Bosler, there was some directional drilling for fiber optic going to the jail and I think to the health department. and we had smoke coming out of a communication box. So I don't know if the sewer out there is fairly deep, deeper than what would be typical for directional drilling, but they may have had a lateral or something like that that could have caused that smoke to come into that box.
But there also was no smoke coming out of the vent on the nutrition center, which was
Correct.
supposedly.
And that's the big question, is where that smoke was going.
Does it look like a pope was elected when it comes out, or?
Yes, it's white smoke.
A lot of white smoke.
Yes. Any other questions?
But if the nutrition center has a trap,
The traps would, typically we don't see that on commercial buildings.
Okay.
Residential, we do run into that quite often, but on commercial buildings, it's unusual to see a trap. Now, with the manor, we just provided them with that 6-inch check valve, and of course theirs did not smoke, but we knew the reason why on that one.
What about a grease trap versus just a regular trap? Grease trap, does the senior center have a grease trap? What happens then?
I don't believe the nutrition center has a grease trap,
Oh, no.
but Country Mart does, and we still had smoke coming out of the roof vents on the Country Mart. So again, when you have a grease trap, it typically just goes from the kitchen portion through the grease trap. It's not the whole building.
Could you give us like a little timeline of, okay, now we're waiting for cameras?
According to Matt Freeze with co-equipment, within a couple of weeks is when we're
Couple of weeks.
expecting. Yes.
Get those cameras and stuff.
Yep.
So this crawler camera, what kind of range does it have?
Oh, they have all kinds of different configurations of the cameras. Some of them are mechanical, like a scissor lift on them. Some of them they put bigger wheels on, but you can do up to a 36-inch pipe, which none of ours is that big. But
So I know there was a little bit of a question about dye and some liability of getting some of the dye on.
yeah, that'd be to verify the gutters on residential homes. If they do have the trap where we can't get the smoke through, and if because again, any direct inflow, which would be a gutter drain, tied to the lateral, that adds a lot of water to our sanitary sewer that it's not designed for. And if we can't smoke it, then the dye testing is usually the next step. Using a dye tablet on somebody's roof, if their gutters leak and it runs down the siding of the house, it's going to stain. And that is some liability I'm not sure the city wants to carry.
right?
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So that dye though, I mean, if we drop it down in like one house's gutters, how do we trace that out? I mean, because we can't trace every individual line out to the main, can we? Or
No,
can't see the main?
yeah, we'd have to do one at a time and then go to the downstream manhole. You pull the cover. We'd have to use a garden hose or something, spray some water into the gutter, and it would show in the manhole. And at that point, it's verified that it's going to the sanitary sewer system.
So you do them one at a time, so you
Yes.
can tell where.
Yep.
You know, maybe the people that are having problems out there with the flooding and stuff, maybe we could concentrate on those first.
Typically, it's not going to be the homes that are having the problem, but somewhere upstream.
Or maybe up the street, you know, somewhere
Yes.
in that area, I think, rather than do, you know, just blanket do everything and stuff. We could kind of concentrate in that area. I mean, maybe we could give these people some, you know, because we kicked this thing down the road another month, and I think we're 2 weeks already past that, so
Yep.
it's going to come up again here, and
Absolutely.
but I did get a pretty good lesson on smoke testing out there the other day.
Yeah, you were present for it.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I believe Alderman Steiger.
Change topics a little bit. The Main Street bathrooms and partitions, how bad was the damage down there with that vandalism at Main Street Park?
GF was able to repair it with the materials that we had on hand, so I believe a report was made on that. But as far as the cost estimate, I have no idea. That'd be on. That's a little bit out of my area.
This is the last problem that we've had there on 4th Street. I know we've identified the problem with the sewer. I mean, what's the next step?
We've never had any problems on 4th Street prior to this. And how it was discovered was that we have a developer looking to buy an empty lot on 4th to build on. And he asked us to camera the sewer, find out where the lateral was tied on that. And when they pulled it, the manhole on top of the hill was surcharged. So they went down to the next manhole, it was surcharged. We went to the next one down, tried to jet it and hit something solid. That's when we had to excavate, and that's when we discovered the issue with it.
So where do we stand there? I mean, what's the final solution or?
That is more of a happy question, I would think, at this point,
So
because
we've left it up to jokers to get in and make the repair. We're waiting for them to come up with a draft drawing or a recommendation on how to get the storm sewer off the top of that clay pipe so that we can get in and repair the clay pipe and support that storm sewer that's on it.
So this is an elevation difference between the two pipes.
Yep.
So are they at fault?
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
thank you.
Next up tonight, we have Chief Howard.
Good evening. Everybody's got a copy of my report. Nothing significant other than that we are fully staffed, so everybody's on the road except for one we have left still in the FTO program. Other than that, that's all I really got.
How's the new stop sign going over there?
They're working.
Good, no wrecks or anything?
No.
Awesome.
Well,
We're just tying up manpower watching everything, but
I understand.
I think we need another stop sign. There in the area coming out of the early childhood center.
be a discussion with the school.
Pardon me?
It'd be a good discussion with the school.
I see your 2 patrol cars replacing camshafts. Is this in addition to the one we had to do the whole motor?
These are different vehicles.
So that's in addition to?
Yeah, those were under warranty though. That didn't cost us anything.
Yeah. I think I did see a new Tahoe in the sheriff's department.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Farmington has some, so I think that's a good move going to something different.
I think about a year ago, I asked previous chief, what was the main call that they were involved with? It came up to be domestic.
Mm-hmm.
Does that continue? And how significant a concern is it? And is it a fight between neighbors or is it a domestic disturbance within a house?
Yeah, our number one calls are still domestics, but it's always spouses. It's usually someone's drinking too much or there's something else going on with it.
And we're pretty good at handling that, would you say?
I believe we're pretty good at it.
Know what to do and de-escalate.
Yep.
You just sent a lot of your officers to some additional training.
Yep.
Joined.
They've gone through so much different training. I send them to anything that they can with domestic violence, different PC writings, use of force stuff, and actually most of all the domestics they've been to, they've never had to do any kind of use of force or anything. Everybody complies and does everything they need to do. So they're pretty good with talking to everybody.
City, if you think this looks like a dangerous situation for the wife and she should not be in the house, do we have a process?
Yep. We get with a domestic violence advocate that helps with resources, get a hotel or food or anything like that. That's something we've been working with that's been around here. So
You still have 2 officers on 24/7, right?
Yep.
I know that was a change back years ago, and all that was due to domestic things.
yeah.
Right.
Any other questions for Chief Howard? All right. Thank you, Chief. At this time, we will open up the floor to public comment. Anybody out there like to address the board?
Just want to see y'all. I ain't been here since all the new gigs. I put a little time in this position that you guys are
I don't
in.
have any cake for you tonight, though.
Oh, come on. Well, who's gonna retire next? Then you'll have one. I'll try to be there. Yeah, but anyway, Michael Buck Jokers, 1051 Maple Drive. It's pretty interesting over there. If y'all want to come over sometime between 2:30 and 2:45. See, I spoke to Chief before the meeting, and he's told me what's going on pretty much, that there is oversight. There's a couple of policemen there every day. But them cars, they're backed up, sometimes across 9th Street on Maple. And they were blocking driveways. That seems to be, has been addressed pretty much. Anyway, I just thank you, Bob, for bringing that up. Amy bringing it up, and Bob, your 2 cents worth. But I did speak to some of the Aldermen about this situation. I think the chief has pretty well told me what's going on, and I think that's going to be time spent the next month, I think you said, really looking at that and seeing if there's anything that could be maybe changed, make it better. Anyway, so happy. Wish you the best, man.
Thank you, sir.
We hung out for a couple of years, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
All right.
We got stuff to.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
This right time, happy? No, we will have the stuff we're going to talk about on that real estate at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
No, so you're fine.
Hi, everyone. Katie Peruka with McBride. Good to see everybody. I just had a quick comment about the second reading of our ordinance approving our PUD. I had shot David an email, which I think he might have shared. I don't know if everyone had seen it. After our meeting, after the first reading, the last board meeting, upon further review of the language of the ordinance and in light of the conversation we had with the cul-de-sacs and some of the requests that the board might have that might slightly change the plan, as well as like the location of the mine vents that we might have to work around and possibly a sinkhole. We are requesting that the language to the ordinance be just slightly changed to provide for a minor change. I think the way it's written, it's pretty strictly, the approval of the PUD has to be in pretty strict conformance with that exact plan. So we're just requesting a slight amendment to that language that says that plan, subject to minor changes, with the understanding that we're going through the subdivision process. You will all be, reviewing and approving the final plan. And if there's a major change that requires us to go back through, we understand that. But just wanting to be a little bit more technically accurate, knowing that there might be some slight changes.
We won't be able to vote on that tonight, then.
Well, this is first time. I don't know what the changes are, what they're, obviously the stage of the review to do it. I just,
You want us not to vote on the second reading then tonight?
I think our request would be we're requesting just to amend the language and to still proceed with the second reading tonight, which I believe, that's allowed for under the code. That would be our request.
Did I hear right? You said that approval for this PUD approves that design?
The language in the ordinance, section 2 of the ordinance provides that the approval for the PUD is based on that plan. And that's why we were just trying to give a little bit of flexibility there, because I know the board had some requests that will try to accommodate as we go through the subdivision approval. So we didn't want to, kind of corner the board into, that exact plan, knowing that there might be some minor changes. But if, again, there's major changes, we understand we would have to apply for a amendment to the PUD. But, and also, again, this is going to be going through the subdivision process under the code, so it will be reviewed and approved by you all once, we're a little bit more final on our engineered plans. But yeah, just kind of wanting to make that tweak, that little amendment, just so they are not strictly tied to that exact plan as we're looking at it.
So you haven't overlaid that plan with those mine vents, then their exact location?
Well, we have the location of them, but some of them can be sealed off.
Right.
And a few of them have to stay. So we're still working through like our title. It's taking our title company a little bit of time to get back to us, in terms of what the mine company's rights are, setbacks, this and that. So we're still waiting for that to come back from the title company before we're able to really, shift anything or if we.
Now, some of those, I did go through that on something we have, and some of those are actually escape routes and stuff like that in the event, and some of the smaller ones are the ones that they're closed.
Right. I believe 2 of them have to stay, we're aware of. So we just kind of need more info on that. As we go through our due diligence, we'll have some more information on that.
So you don't see it actually eliminating any lots or?
I can't say that at this point, yeah. Hopefully it doesn't, we don't have to, shift anything too much, but we're kind of, at the mercy of what those existing rights are. So.
Okay. We may have more to discuss when it comes up, but yeah, thank you for clarifying, Katie. Any other public comment at this time? Okay. If not, we will move along to tonight's consent agenda.
We need to pull out the street closure request. They have decided to just have Oktoberfest in the Audubon parking lot. No reason to have a street closure.
Motion to approve with that change.
Discussion. I had some questions about the funds and the interest. Did you have a chance to look at that? Happy about that?
Yes. That's all right.
I think this is probably.
I'll withhold it for now.
So I can go through, it individually, but kind of summarize that it comes down to a timing issue.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest things that you had found, because you had circled it in red, was the metered sales.
Yeah, that was one separate question. Yeah.
Right. So that came about because MLC paid paid twice, 2 months worth in the same period. So that number is elevated. So you'll see a lower number in August from when she does that, from August when she does it in September, does that report. The interest, some of the interest is because we redid some of the CDs, lower interest rates. Again, some of that is also a timing issue where we had more in 1 month because it was recorded twice. And when we came around to this month, we didn't have that interest included. So you'll see some lower amounts. Park Fund had received a grant last July, which increased their fund balance. So the money that was then spent. The band fund is up because the final payments to the band are only posting in August instead of how they posted in July of last year. Again, it's a timing issue. Cemetery fund, we did not spend as much money on contract labor as we did last year. We had tree trimming and removal last year, so we didn't have that to spend on this year. Special Road District, no money has been received yet. They're waiting until we pave Little Rock Road. Water fund is up. Again, we explained why. You'll see probably a change next month. Debt service fund, the money for the bond will be paid out in August to where last year was paid out in July. So again, that's why your numbers are different. And rural fire fund is only receiving the grant money in September of this year, which will put them closer to the balance that they had last year. So that's kind of a reason you see the numbers that you do. Again, it's because of the CDs, lower interest, so you're going to see smaller interest rates and just timing issues.
That capital projects fund too, that was another big one too.
We had capital projects last year. We didn't have anything scheduled. Yep. Now, same thing for next year. We don't have anything scheduled at the capital projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime anybody's got a question like that, it's great.
Second, motion to approve consent agenda.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second to approve the amended consent agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Let's address resolution 2025-41 right now. This is a resolution appointing Assistant City Administrator David Bova as the interim city administrator.
We talked about whether we were going to add or not add any additional salary, but we don't have that filled out. So can we, what's the process for us to be able to do this tonight?
So I believe the plan was that we did leave that open for discussion tonight regarding that.
Salaries are public record, so we can discuss that in the open.
Can we add that into this resolution?
Mm-hmm.
So you're aware, David's current salary is $65,707. And he's taking on a second job that will require that, probably extra hours, extra attention will have to be paid for the board meetings, besides daily questions and issues. I've given staff a list of projects that we have going on, tried to move some things around so that they can share the duties and responsibilities, but a lot of it still is going to come down to the city administrator's position.
Happy, and that's why I seconded to bring it out of the consent agenda, so we could have those discussions and stuff, but I'd like to see a major thing like that in the consent agenda because it does deserve discussion. Is there a time frame? Your departure was relatively quick, and with everything we have going on, is there we have kind of a gentleman's agreement on contacting you or in the event we run into something?
I'm turning my phone off. I'm switching my number. I'm becoming, the reason I stuck around was because of budget. I feel a responsibility to this city because of, what you all have entrusted in me. Same thing. David and I have a great relationship, and I expect to hear from him quite often. When I get tired of it, I will hang up on him.
I doubt it.
But I think a lot of it is, things that I'm just used to having done, and he's been exposed to it and had a chance to see what goes on, but there's still other things that will come up, and I can't teach him everything and have him remember it. There's just no way.
Well, the timing, there's a lot going on.
Yes.
And that's why I asked that. And I didn't second the motion because I was opposed to it. It's just that it deserved the discussion. My opinion is he deserves the pay.
Did we have
haven't
a percentage what we did for the chief because we give some extra pay to the assistant chief?
No, we didn't. We split the duties between the two, between the lieutenant and the sergeant.
We did do when Happy was tourism director there in the interim for a time. That's the last I recall. Last time we did that.
Would you like a recommendation?
What's your current salary?
90,000.
90. 25. So that's extra. 2 a month. I would say maybe $3,000 extra per month to kind of be close to what Happy is making now.
I make 90. He's making 65.
Well, so that's 35,
25.
25. That's
3,000 is right.
That's,
Yeah, when you said it's close to mine, I thought, wait a minute.
well,
3,000 a month, I think is reasonable.
it's 2 to 3 months. I'm hoping at best, you know, so.
Yeah, the applications, resumes, cover letters are due middle of September, and then you should be able to get some folks in here to interview.
You can tell me now.
All right.
What was your recommendation?
My recommendation would be 71,000,
So that'd be about the extra
so 6,000, extra 6,000, 5,500 more.
for the year. So divide that by
Divide by-
Right, divided,
$500 per month.
right.
It's gonna be busy 2 or 3 months. I don't mind doing a little bit. So anybody else got thoughts?
I think 500's too little.
I do too.
3,000 is maybe
I
too
mean, you
much.
still gotta
We come back in the
maintain his,
middle.
1,500?
No, actually, I was
1,500. Gonna say 1,500.
you still gotta maintain his current responsibilities also and stuff, so it's gonna be a lot of extra time.
1,500, 2,000? What do you-
I'm with the 1,500.
At least.
Yeah.
Sam, thoughts?
1,500, 2,000 in there. Like I say, he's gonna be taking on a complete extra job. You know, it's gonna take a lot of time and stress.
Alderman Ross, you got something?
I think 1,500 is a good price. Because we know what Dave can do. And how long has he been assistant?
2.5, 3 years.
Well, he's been in with you for 3 years. He has all that experience, and I think it's well worth 1,500.
I motion that we approve the resolution with an additional $1,500 per month.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-41 with the additional salary of $1,500 per month. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, thank you all for that. At this time, a public hearing will be held at St. Genevieve City Hall Thursday, August 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. At this hearing, citizens may comment on the property tax rates proposed to be set by the city of St. Genevieve, a political subdivision. The tax rate shall be set to produce revenues which the budget for the fiscal year 2026 shows to be required from the property tax. We will open this public hearing at 6:33. Going through changes here, first we're going to touch on assessed valuation. And I'll go through the 2024 numbers, and then we will update those with the 2025 numbers that we're set to approve tonight. Assessed valuation, real estate in 2024, the total value was $64,357,658. That number in 2025 is now $70,619,114. Personal property tax for the year of 2024 totaled $15,784,521. And currently, that is assessed, personal property assessed value is a total of $16,298,038. The totals in 2024, total assessed valuation was $80,142,179. And for the year 2025, that is $86,917,152. Moving along to our tax rates. So we will go through the 2024, so we'll read off the 2024 numbers and then move to the 2025 numbers. This is the tax rate these are the tax rates for 2024 per $100 assessed value. General revenue was 0.4823. That number is moving to 0.4587 for the 2025 tax year. The cemetery fund was 0.0481 in 2024. That is moving to 0.0458 in 2025. The band was 0.0775 in 2024. That is moving to 0.0737 in 2025. Parks and Recreation In 2024, that number was 0.1254. It is moving to 0.1193 in 2025. And public safety in 2024 was 0.2684. That number is moving to 0.0947 in 2025. These totals in 2024 were 1.0017. And for the year 2025, that will be, the proposed is 0.792. Questions, comments, discussion? Board? And any comment from the public? Okay. If there's no further discussion, we will close this public hearing at 6:36. And that will take us to some old business. That is a second reading of bill number 4681. This is an ordinance approving a zone change from an R1 single family residential to PUD R2 planned urban development general residential for a 49.04 acre parcel located along the northern side of the 500 to 600 block of Progress Parkway. I assume we'll have discussion on this topic.
Please, Mayor.
Yes.
So are we trying to amend this ordinance tonight, this bill?
Well, I guess I should probably jump in at this point. I mean,
Well, Harry.
I had mentioned at the previous meeting that a PUD is quite often a lot more specific than the sketch drawing that was provided to you, because it would normally have specific setbacks, specific building designs, because it could be like for instance, a commercial residential mixed-use development. And so when you're doing those types of PUDs, it's going to be an approved final plan. We can't really do that with this type of development because each house will be built based upon the specifications of the intended buyer. So I completely understand your concern about wanting to, and the proposed language to change would just be adding, as I understand it, the paragraph or section 2, which the ordinance that was first read last meeting was, the board approves the plan based upon the July 10, 2025 sketch drawing labeled Progress Point. The proposed would be adding after Progress Point language which is subject to minor changes. I think I don't think that change is necessary, and meaning because what you are approving is obviously a sketch plan anyway, and you'll have to go through. The only reason why I'm comfortable with it from the legal side of it is because the developer's also going to be going through the subdivision process where those will be really tightened up, and therefore the plan that allows the zoning is already not definite, in the sense that in some other PUDs, you're going to have that kind of definite with exact setbacks, exact building designs, exact driveways. You don't have really any of that before you. So I'm uncomfortable changing the language on the second reading. Also, the other complication is, even if we could do that, we would have to read it in full, right? Because we don't have a copy available to the public at the meeting or in advance of the meeting. That bogs it down too. So I understand the developer's concern about, they want to make sure that what's being approved it doesn't necessarily have to go through the whole PUD approval process again. However, we already have that built in the sketch design. And if they're going to substantially change it, they're going to have to come back. You know, if there are substantial changes from this general design, they have to come back and get a new PUD approval. And so we already kind of, I view the ordinance as already built in minor changes that would be allowable pending the subdivision approval. So my recommendation is, if you're still comfortable with passing this ordinance, pass it as it is, and we're just going to have to deal with it as it goes forward, because if we change the language of it, we can change the language, but we're going to read it in full in order to pass it. And I think it injects an issue into this approval that I don't think is necessary, quite frankly. I don't mean that as any way as a criticism. I understand their concern, but I think it's already been addressed with the development proposal that we've gotten already and what you have before you to approve.
Does the last line on section 1, since subject to any easements, reservations, restriction, would that cover an issue with Limekiln easement?
No, I mean, that's just the legal description. That's literally the legal description for the property. So that's the subject property, and that's probably borrowed from the deed. You know, so like that's the language from the legal description of the real estate. That's not controlling it. The issues that they may have to address. And, you know, if these lots are going to substantially change, they're going to have to, this language won't help them anyway. You know, if there's going to be a revision of this plan, it's going to have to go through an approval process. So I guess what I'm saying is it's trying to fix something that's already been fixed with the approval of this type of plan.
Okay. This subdivision's in Ward 4. I'm an alderman in Ward 4. They changed the whole design of the subdivision. And I knew nothing about it until we had a meeting to vote on this last time. So when they show up, they show the new design of the subdivision. And now I'm hearing tonight that if we approve this, that design is what we're going to use. Then what did she say?
No, I mean, there's going to be modifications with regard to the actual buildings built within the subdivision from what you're approving tonight, because it's unknown. It's a subdivision development. We don't know what size houses, what foundations, and what setbacks are going to be approved until, just with any subdivision development.
I was told that rezoning this only applied to rezoning.
That's correct.
Right. But she's saying that this is the design they're going to use and they're going to make a few changes. I don't even like the design. So if we approve this, this is what we're going to get with some minor changes?
I don't think that's what they're saying, but.
That's not what they're saying?
I didn't take it as that.
Well?
Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, come on.
So this sketch plan, yes, it is different from what we were originally given from the city. Again, we had given that to our engineers and we had kind of shifted lots. We were able to add more lots. We had to accommodate for some other factors. So that's where this plan came in. This is what we submitted to planning and zoning. So this is what we officially submitted. The zoning, my understanding is the approval of the zoning, the way the ordinance reads, is based off of this plan. But the plan has to go through subdivision approval per the code. So we have to submit our actual engineered plans, which, again, we're still going through our due diligence for the site. So this is our plan now, but there are factors that we are out of our control. But as I mentioned, if it turns out there's a sinkhole that we just cannot build on and we have to work around, or I know last time you had all mentioned we really liked that other cul-de-sac, or there were more cul-de-sacs. So if we modify or shift anything, the reason why I had even raised it was because we didn't necessarily want the board to feel boxed into that, like strict to that plan. This is our proposed plan at this time, but we wanted to allow for a little bit of language if there are some minor shifts. You know, I gave a few examples of why that might be. With the understanding, Mark, that yes, we're going to go through the subdivision approval process. And that was kind of what our understanding was, that when we go through that and seek those approvals, if, you know, that those conversations, and we feel like this has been a dialogue and a partnership that we would like that to continue, and we want the city to be happy with our ultimate plan. So that's why we just, wanted to just be technically correct. But if you're comfortable, that we don't need that qualifier, and that if there are changes that need to happen that aren't like a massive change of lot numbers or something major like that, that the subdivision approval will allow for those changes without necessarily having to go all the way back through. If we need to go back through for the PUD, we certainly will. But anyway, we were just trying to get ahead of extra, hoops to jump through, knowing that we're going to be working and trying to accommodate your requests and the environmental conditions and, the unknowns that are out there right now.
Well, all I know, we didn't have no discussion on this new plan. But when you came and presented, that's what you presented.
Correct.
So that has to be in with this.
That's what
That plan has to be in there.
your approval is based off of our sketch plan. But I think the discussions come when we go through the subdivision process,
Okay.
is my understanding.
What don't you like about this?
I don't like that we lost the cul-de-sacs. Everything that was done to this new plan was to benefit McBride. They're gonna save money.
Well, we're actually trying
Well, you
to keep the
said
cost
you're getting more.
down for the ultimate, for the customer, which I think was the goal, collective goal.
Yeah.
And to be good stewards of, the contribution that the city is making, because, cutting down on some of that infrastructure ultimately cuts down on, those savings get passed down to the customer. So yes, it is like absolutely a cost saving measure, trying to accommodate the ultimate goal of the city of keeping the houses affordable. Not necessarily a McBride, it's gotta be a win-win for you all and for us and for your constituents and our customers. So, yes, a more efficient plan, we feel accommodates that, but we are open. This is a dialogue. We're open to, listening to, I know a few of you had mentioned the cul-de-sacs last time. I think where we left that was, let's see what we get back in terms of the mine vents and the sinkhole. If we have to shift that, let us do that. And then if you don't like what you see there, we can keep the conversation going.
So when I
So,
see this plan, what I see is a raceway down Parkwood. And all the houses are the same.
No.
They're
well,
the
they're
same
the
art-
same, it's
they're
the
art
same
houses.
village. It's the same village of houses.
All right.
So the same
The
lot
elevation.
size, but they're all very different. So every customer gets to choose their floor plan, ranch, 2-story, and then story and a half. And then within that, they get to choose, do I want brick? Do I want, a siding? Do I want stone? There's countless different choices. So, which we encourage. We don't even allow for identical houses right next to each other. So that, it's not going to be identical houses. Yes, it is the same village, and so the same, group of housing, group of floor plans will be, elected. Yes.
Can we make a motion to end the discussion?
Well, you can call the question.
You can call a vote.
Call the question.
If I'm taking up too much time, I apologize.
You're doing fine, Teddy. There may or may not be some changes to this layout, depending on what you find out with topography and mine shafts and whatnot. It probably will stay close. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of cul-de-sacs back, Teddy. But I also think that having an extra 20 families find homes in St. Genevieve, I think is also a good thing too. So I would love to have a bunch of $500,000, $700,000 homes, but I don't think we're gonna find 170 people to buy $500,000 homes. So I understand the logic behind what McBride is trying to do. I'd like to have 20 extra families buying groceries at the grocery stores and buying gas and sending kids to schools. So I think it kind of makes more sense. I don't think if I had a $600,000 house, would I want to be next to a $200,000, $300,000 house? I don't know. I don't have a $600,000 house, but if I did, I don't know if I'd want to be right next to a $200,000 or $300,000 house. So for consistency, I think it makes more sense the way that this PUD is being laid out. And I think it makes sense.
Do you have any developments that we could go to and take a look at the homes?
Oh, yes, we have,
Isn't there one I said, Charles?
yeah,
Harbor Homes?
there's several, and we can certainly send you some home sites to visit. I think last meeting, there was a gentleman here who had been to 7 of our communities. So absolutely, we would love that. And we'll
I
even
would like to know.
take you around. We're very proud and we would be happy to do that.
They've got
Please get
several,
a feel of
they've got several in Jefferson County, too. They've got several, they got several in Jefferson County.
what the Harbor Homes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
I'll send you a list.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we have a motion over here. I heard a second.
No, I lost.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second on bill number 4681. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs. Yes. Alderman Fahey.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Huey.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
No,
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
6 yes, 1 no, 1 absent. Bill number 4681 now becomes ordinance 4602.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up tonight, we have a second reading of bill number 4682. This is an ordinance providing for the annexation of certain real estate owned by St. Genevieve Housing Authority into the city of St. Genevieve existing corporate limits.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
yes,
Alderman Huey.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Fahey.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dobbs.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4682 now becomes ordinance 4603.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll move along to some new business. Jameson Walker is appealing decision of the St. Genevieve Heritage Commission for a certificate of appropriateness to install architectural shingles on the contributing structure at 170 Seraphim Street. That should be 170 Seraphim Street. Go ahead, Dave.
The applicant, Mr. Walker, filed a request for a certificate of appropriateness to install architectural shingles on the contributing structure at 170 Seraphim Street. The Heritage Commission voted 401 to deny the certificate of appropriateness. Commissioner Benner was absent. The structure at 170 Seraphim is a contributing structure at St. John National Register Historic District. It's constructed circa 1910 in an early 20th century vernacular architectural style. In addition to buildings that exhibit the characteristics of specific architectural styles, St. Genevieve, as most communities, has many houses that can be better defined by their form. These forms are sometimes referred to as other, no style, folk house, or vernacular. Currently, the structure has a standing seam roof, which is typical of a structure of this age and style. The standing seam metal roof is a character-defining feature of the structure and is featured prominently when viewing the house from any direction. The Heritage Commission ruled that the installation of architectural shingles was inappropriate because the standing seam metal roof is one of the character-defining elements of the structure and should be preserved rather than replaced. Moreover, the appearance of architectural asphalt shingles is very different than that of standing seam metal. Under both the design guidelines of the St. John National Register Historic District and the U.S. Secretary of Interior Standard for Rehabilitation, original character-defining features should be preserved in place whenever feasible. Also, under these standards, if original building materials and features cannot be fully preserved, they should be repaired instead of replaced.
If the feature or building material has deteriorated beyond repair or replacement, the feature should be replaced with material in kind. Other COAs for roof replacement have been approved in the past, but each COA consideration is different, involves different factors, including type of structure, architecture, contribution to the district, level of previous rehabilitation or reconstruction, and several other issues. Over the past 2 years, there have been 3 other requests to replace standing seam metal with either exposed fastener metal or asphalt shingles. All 3 were denied. The main argument the applicants typically have for requesting to shift from standing seam metal to a different material is typically cost. While cost is certainly an issue for most homeowners, it is not a factor the commission is able to consider when making their determination of appropriateness under the design guidelines. The entire point of historic preservation is that homeowners, citizens, and visitors see our historic homes as they were at the time they were built. In addition, preservation of our historic homes benefits us in terms of less building materials in landfills, increased home values, economic benefits associated with tourism, financial benefits associated with being designated as a National Registered Historic District, and preserving the historic fabric of the community. The Heritage Commission thus urges the Board of Aldermen to uphold their decision as it is based upon the design guidelines of the St. Genevieve National Register Historic District and the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, and follows the purposes and duties set forth in St. Genevieve municipal ordinances. Yes, sir.
Is this a primary residence, rental, or what type of residence is this?
I'm not 100% certain. I believe it is a rental, but I'm not certain.
I was notified of this by one of our legislators in Jeff City and asked me to take a look at it, so I did. And I noticed as you go up Seraphin, the second house on the right, it's a 2-story brick structure, same stone foundation, very similar. And I noticed that house has been changed. It was a standing seam at one time and it's been changed over to an architectural shingle. Any history on that project, or?
I mean, I would need a little bit more time to give you any history on it. Then I don't know what house you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the second one on the right. As you go up, 2-story brick, right behind Pernod's house.
I don't have any history on that house. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
What is the cost difference between what they had and what they want them to replace? Like to replace it and then like the architectural, is it a really big difference in price that would make them?
The contractor that appeared that night said it was a significant difference, but I don't have a dollar figure, no ma'am.
So my whole thing is, at what point can we cripple the citizens? I mean, I understand that it could be, or that it is a historic home, but things are really expensive for people now, and we do not want the home to deteriorate beyond repair. So.
Agreed, but that is not something the Heritage Commission has the purview to consider.
Dave, you said this was a circa 1910.
Correct.
When did standing seam roofs even come about? I don't think they were used in 1910. Is that correct? Those only came out about in the 40s or 50s?
In the 20s, mostly.
So the original roof was probably what, cedar shade?
Could have been. I have no idea what the
Well, I mean,
roof was, or this.
But they're trying to make it sound like the standing seam metal roof is more original than an architectural shingle as far as looks and aesthetics, when it was probably built with some sort of cedar shake roof or similar back then. And only upgraded to standing seam afterwards.
It could have been. However, the materials, when they're put on and on that long, achieve their own architectural designation just by being there. That roof's probably been there at least 75 years.
Probably cedar shakes underneath the standings.
Could be, absolutely.
Right.
But that style is vernacular or other style or no style. That's kind of the.
Dave, out of those three,
it's not a historic building, it's a contributing building, which is not quite the same.
It's not a land.
Correct.
Okay, that was good.
Out of those 3 instances you referred to and stuff where they were denied, how many of those came back to the board for?
Appeals.
Not appealed?
One went forward with standing seam, one covered it with DTM or like a direct to metal epoxy covering, and the other did the same.
What was that tape?
Direct to metal. So you can do like an epoxy covering over that metal.
No.
There are multiple standing seam roofs around town that have that.
I think standing seam is an important contributor to the definition of what St. Genevieve in the historic area is. And I think every time we lose one, it's a loss for our standing as a historic community.
Could you apply a standing seam later? Say that he put the architecture shingles on, could that be changed back later?
I mean, it certainly could.
You know, one of the things they want to do is save all the structures, historic structures. Now, I can understand that. But if the people don't repair them, you're not going to have a structure. If you don't repair the roof, eventually it's going to fall down.
I don't think the Heritage Commission is trying to say don't repair your roof. I think they're saying, can you go back with standing seam metal or some other type of substitute materials are allowed. In this instance, you know, if they wanted to go with barn metal, I know that wouldn't look near like standing seam. Or corrugated metal, there was a applicant last night that asked to go back with corrugated metal, and that was allowed. This is a big difference.
Well, I think one of the things is that if people can afford to do this and to save the structure, because the next owner might change it back. Like the one story was they wouldn't allow the guy to put in the new windows. So you just leave it. It falls down. What did they say? Why can't they put the old windows back in, like a new owner comes back later and says, hey, I want those old windows back in there. You know, there ought to be some solutions here as far as what people can do and what money they're going to spend.
When this decision was made, solutions were offered. This individual wants architectural asphalt.
So, okay, so he wasn't willing to.
But he wasn't there. His contractor was. But, I mean, Mr. Walker, in my interaction with him, has been very pleasant throughout this whole situation, but he wants architectural asphalt shingles. He doesn't want a replacement metal or a direct metal epoxy covering.
Now, Dave, the comparison to what you call the barn metal, you know, the exposed faster compared to the standing seam, I mean, that's night and day difference. I mean, I see a lot of that put over the top of shingles as a cheap alternative, and that's exactly what it is. But to be in comparison to a standing seam, I'd rather see the shingles. But as compared to barn metal.
Well, barn metal's twice as expensive anyway compared to an asphalt shingle, so it's, you know.
The barn metal, they just don't have to go through the process of tearing off, disposal. They slap it over the top, but.
Oh, if you don't do it. Dave, is there anybody here for the applicant, or is he just?
Is there anybody here for the applicant? Okay. Do you want to vote?
So what's the next?
You either have to approve the appeal or deny the appeal. Or table.
I hate to go against the heritage. I don't know, I'm 50-50 here.
They don't have to consider costs, you know, they are strictly
Right.
under, for appropriateness and historical nature, and I get it. And so they don't have to take cost into consideration when they make their, so you don't have to feel bad about going against them because yes, you have to consider it.
It's not a landmark either.
It is not, it's a contributing.
You can make the cost argument for every repair done
Yes.
and every home in town. We could evolve to, it'll be the cheapest solution that everybody will go for. Either we are a historic town that recognizes the historic significance of this village, and the last three that came up like this, all of those people concurred and put up a standing seam. You know, we bought the house that it's in the historic district. There are expectations the way it's maintained.
I just have an issue with the house down the street. If it's been allowed to change it, I don't know how we can allow one and not the other, but I appreciate the historical value of things and stuff. I do, but at a point in time, practicality, I mean, I don't know, can the people afford it? I hate not to think about that.
Yeah, it is an asphalt shingle now, isn't it, that one?
How close is the closest house to that with the standing seam?
That's the only one. Well, there's one across the street that I seen up there, but
Across the street.
down a couple houses or something.
Just contact, so.
This house stands out by itself.
Yes.
So,
It's right on the corner of the road that turns back to the right there.
And Don Howard.
Yeah, sometimes somebody makes it to the house.
So if we table this,
Is there a reason to table it?
Is there a request to?
you know, the fact that somebody's not here, I mean, I don't know if they could be here or not. I'd like to hear their story.
This is the date for the appeal, they should be here. This is the hearing, this is the appeal.
no, but if that's right, it will postpone.
And I don't think they were at the Heritage meeting as well. They had their contractor available, but I don't think they were at the.
I shared personally email with Mr. Walker. He's aware that the appeal is on the agenda.
Was there any sort of hardship request on his behalf as part of?
No, the denial letter gives you multiple options. Well, this is one, and a request to consider the cost is another option. You did not choose that option.
So that's irrelevant, that discussion that you had about the cost, is it irrelevant?
I think we should just go vote on it.
Well, I think that if he doesn't care and he's not here, I think it should just be
If
denied.
he's not here to plead his case, then we just don't take any action.
Why should we?
Correct?
You should either approve the appeal or you should deny the appeal. Today's the decision date on his appeal. He has filed an appeal, the decision, a report has been provided to you. He has not alleged a hardship for financial reasons.
If we deny it at this time, is that done, or can he reapply for a denial with the ability to attend?
He has the ability to attend unless there's something that I've been informed of. He's chosen not to be here.
But I mean, if we deny it tonight, it's a done deal. He
Yeah,
can't.
he's not going to be able to submit the same application because it will have already been decided.
His appeal application, Dave, included, it has some different criteria as far as on that appeal.
Not sure what you're asking.
Well, you said one of them was like a hardship
The
appeal.
denial letter that anyone gets lines out your options. And those options are, you can apply for economic hardship. You can apply, that's really if it's a commercial property and it's going to deny you economic use of property. Financial hardship, which you would have to prove that you can't afford to pay for it. Or a denial. Or you can simply do whatever it is the Heritage Commission suggested. He chose.
But
the denial.
the applicant has just three choices then for the appeal?
Besides choosing the other material, yes.
And I'm sorry, the third one was,
So you can go through an
Financial
economic
appeal.
hardship process, a financial hardship process, or this appeal.
what would you call this? What is it labeled on the appeal?
Appeal. Appeal to the Board of Aldermen. And he would still be allowed to file for economic hardship, and in this case, probably financial hardship.
If it's a rental.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, I mean,
This needs a motion.
I make a motion to uphold the Heritage Commission decision.
Okay. So a
Then I give
motion
it to
to
themselves.
deny the appeal and uphold the Heritage Commission. That's the motion.
Second.
I do have a second. Pam, I'd like to roll call this if possible.
Sure. Alderwoman Dobbs.
Yes.
Alderman Fahy.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Huey,
Yes.
Alderman Ross,
Yes.
Alderman Prince,
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes. Voting yes for the appeal.
Or voting to deny the appeal.
That's correct. Yes to deny.
Yes to deny the appeal. Yeah, correct.
Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next up tonight, we have a first reading of bill number 4683. This is an ordinance of the city of St. Genevieve levying a tax on the residents of the city for the year 2025.
Hey, I have a question. I want to make sure I understand the numbers here. I did some quick math and stuff, but, with the increase of the assessed valuation and the lower tax rate, does that not net us the same amount of money?
Yeah, that's, well, I mean, maybe a small increase, but because of the increase in the assessments, that's why the numbers that you see are actually lower than last year.
Right.
We voluntarily lowered the public safety based on discussions because of the fire district. So that amount will reduce us the amount of what we spend on fire district funds in the general fund.
I just wanted to make sure my number's correct. Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion for a second reading?
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second for a second reading of bill number 4683. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
This will be a second reading of bill number 4683. This is an ordinance of the city of St. Genevieve levying a tax on the residents of the city for the year 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderman Steiger,
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Huey,
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yes.
Alderman Fahey,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dobbs.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no's, 1 absent. Bill number 4683 now becomes ordinance 4604.
Thank you very much. Any other business to discuss at this time on the board? Okay. If not, we're going to move along to a closed session item.
For the purpose of?
Real estate, leasing, purchase or sale of real estate. Both of, there are two items, both of them are real estate related.
I'll make that motion, Trump.
No, I didn't know that. You said action next.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to move into closed session. Pam, would you do a roll call, please?
Alderwoman Dobbs.
Yes.
Alderman Fahey.
Yes.
Alderman Donovan.
Yep.
Alderman Huey.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Prince.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Motion carries 713.
Welcome back. Any other topics to discuss right now? If not, we will adjourn and move into work session. Tonight's work session to order. At this time, we're looking for approval of tonight's agenda.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You can write it. Yeah. Oh, no, I did here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're fine.
You're a one.
We're great. We're doing fine.
Okay, so there is only one topic on tonight's agenda, that being our final budget review and discussion.
So you had in your baskets and placed at your seats the final information from last week's discussion. We made changes to the proposed large capital items, the project requests such as Placer AI has been put back on at 5,400. We have Parkland Ready still fully funded there, and we'll see if we can get other partners to help us with that, but that's at 5,154. We took out the landscape architect. Most of the police department is still the same, except we did drop the 911 board, the dispatch to 88,500. Anticipation is 10,000 for the next 3 months, October, November, December, and then we reduce it to 6,500 a month. And I have contacted the board to let them know of your allocation amount. We also have money, I think everything else pretty much stayed the same with the splash playground, Prop S road work, all of that. Going over to the
Street sweeper?
street
Guess we're just gonna
sweeper.
Fix it.
We did reduce that to 35,000. We will contact the shop that sells those vehicles so that we can get it done by, and get it fixed. So we're estimating 35,000. So, and that's, we estimated 30, we're gonna estimate 35 just in case there's anything else that needs to be done with it, but we will not purchase a new street sweeper. What else?
I went and looked at that sweeper this morning and checked the hour meter on it. And they've been putting approximately 500 hours a year on that. So
Which is not-
looking at this $35,000 for a repair, gives at least 3 or more years. I think that's the correct way to go
Yeah.
on that.
Motor had 2,100 hours. on
Yeah,
it.
and the longevity of those engines is 5,000 to 10,000 hours.
Okay, so we're happy.
I looked that up, see where we're at, so the machine is basically a third worn out. You know, so we've got another 3 years, be another 1,500 hours. We're not even near the threshold of it being worn out.
And it seems like the vehicle itself hasn't had any major problems, so we're not looking at anything happening with that engine or the.
And it's not all beat up. It doesn't look bad.
Thank you for looking into that, Sam.
Yeah.
Some of this
No problem.
routine.
Thank you.
Stuff that needs to be done.
Yes.
We just had them come down, not only at Seaside, but we just had them come down and adjust the brushes and all that stuff, and I'm surprised they didn't try to hit us up with a bunch of other repairs, but
Their large complaint they had with it was the water, the dust.
So the
deterrent.
sprays in there.
Sprays.
Just,
Right.
yeah.
And there's possibly an upgrade that they can do to that, improve that on, retro, to upgrade that to a newer system to work better. I think we have a good street sweeper, just did a little TLC.
Happy the one area, building at 590 Market Street, I mean, the $225,000 is too much for right now, but, not knowing what it would take, it might be wise to, start the process and maybe get, engineering or design or something, added back in there since we pulled the street sweeper down to about $190,000 and stuff. I think it would be, that might be a positive move for the future. Because I know a lot of times they're starting these trucks up, pulling them out of the inside because we really have nice looking, well-maintained vehicles. But, when you start those vehicles up when they're cold, back them out, that they're not going to use them, that can add to the wear and tear on those vehicles and stuff. Heats the engine up, moisture condenses inside of them. But I think we could probably, put some of that money back in to start the process, get a design or something to start that process because
Maybe we don't need a $225,000
No.
building.
Is this
It's
for
actually
the garage to add on to the shed?
well, it's for adding on to the building itself. They want to
But
move the
garage,
salt
right?
shed.
Lean to park under.
Right, they want to move the salt shed down to the other piece of property and use that area, the salt storage area right next to the building, which needs to be moved.
Yeah,
Because that's not a good place for it, where water can run down to the building and, what salt does and stuff, but,
where do they want to move salt to?
pardon me?
Where do they want to move salt to?
Back to.
Yeah,
On street, back there.
down to the old across the tracks and stuff where,
Yeah.
that was the last I was told they wanted to.
Makes sense.
But it needs to be gotten away from that building. I know they moved it once and they put the temporary walls up, but it's still leaching out.
So it's been talked about already that
Maybe
in
we
the
just
near
fund.
future, we could need another building, correct? I
We need a
mean,
new water
could we-
plant.
Could we save that money for when we go to do something really huge like that? Should we save it? Can we save it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, why don't we just have the salt shed moved this year and figure out, once they get an empty spot over there.
It's not a salt shed, it's just an open
Well,
structure, right? They got,
Structure, whatever you want to call it.
Get the site ready so that we can see what we're dealing with. Because once they move all that salt and stuff, there may be a lot of groundwork that needs to be done too that we're not looking at right now.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, it was open lot before they moved the salt to right where it is now. They just moved it more out of the center of the lot,
They
right
might
next to the
advise too to
building.
build a better facility down there for salt.
No, it's just an open salt storage. It's just they stack those movable concrete blocks up and,
just a pit,
I
basically.
just,
Right.
I think that if we have to build a new building for the water plant, that's gonna be like buying a fire truck. I mean,
Well, that's.
That'll be, we'll have to go out for grants.
oh
and
yeah,
start-
definitely.
right, that's a whole
That's gonna be a major thing, yeah.
funding thing.
And that building will not be suitable for storage. So what they're looking at is something that would be newer and set up specifically for the large equipment that's gonna need to be able to pull through.
Okay.
And I think we can still look at dimensionally what it is and the type of structure that it would need to be and get a price on that before we even move anything out of there. There may be structural issues, but we can do the boring after we've determined what the size needs to be and what type of materials we want it to be.
I think they were gonna move the salt themselves,
Right.
right? Just load it up in our trucks and
Well-
move it to get it out of the lot, not away from the building.
What we would probably do is wait till after we had a snow and get that salt, the salt amount down and then start getting everything out of there, or wait till the end of the season and don't buy any
That
at
makes
the
sense.
end of the season.
They haven't stocked up yet on the salt. There's not that much there right now.
Right.
Right. Because we haven't budgeted for it yet.
That's what I'm saying. Now would still be a good time. The weather's good. They don't have a lot of salt there. They would be dealing with mud and rain.
Right.
The salt would be dry to transport it down there to get the move done.
I think it was just a timing thing that they
I
haven't.
was gonna
moved
say,
it,
that's
but
kind of short time.
They've been busy.
Well, and it's been, again, I think, and I don't have it in front of me, so, but I think we spent what's in that budget line. So we're waiting until October and then we can start purchasing again. What else? Alderman Steiger pointed out I hadn't put in a number for the rural fire fund. That was 164,000, what I quoted on the, when we were talking about the lease, 164,317 is the number that we're sitting at right now. That would be transferred to the fire department.
What was that number?
164,317.
But you said earlier that that's dependent on what they spend.
If they overspend their general fund, yes. And then the rest of this, I think we really didn't have any, we didn't really have hardly any changes on the back page, except for the building addition and then the little fire fund.
Fire.
So with that, we have ended up with in the general fund, a 49% number. We haven't hit 50, we're close. Our revenue less operations is at 85,220 in the green. Everything still looks good in the dedicated funds. We still have a lot of funding in there because of the street improvements and the water sewer improvements that the subdivision goes in. So starting at 14 million, wrapping up at about 10 million that we would still have for the next year. So we're looking fairly good in those. We are waiting to kind of see how the water fund works. I think Alderman Steiger's question on, looking at those numbers, that was pretty significant. Makes sense if you have two payments from your largest customer. So you won't see those numbers. That isn't going to just suddenly increase, but I think over the next 4 to 6 months, we can tell what the trend's going to be. Once we get through summer and into winter, and see what the averages are. We're hoping what we've estimated is conservative, and it's over there.
When did the water rates change?
June.
June, so we've had a couple months here.
I'm about to make
I
an
didn't think it was
injection
gonna be
into
that much of
that.
an increase when we saw.
My son left a faucet on in our basement bathroom for 3 days. So
Oh, no.
Well,
ran straight for 3 days.
They called me.
Who? I didn't get a call, but I'm expecting a pretty decent sized bill. I mean, it didn't flood.
8,400 gallons last year.
We appreciate the revenue.
The faucet on.
My daughter's cat turned hers. But she's
No,
not a
wow.
dog, so it ran.
8,400 gallons.
So, yeah.
I'll inject a little bit more into the budget this year.
And we won't charge you for any extra for sewer.
You know what? I appreciate that because
Happy
I
about
used them
this.
both.
On this reserve fund, I'm going to make sure, we're at the 49%. That was a number that this board imposed a few years ago. There is no different state mandate or anything on nothing.
No, it's up to the individual cities, counties, whoever wants to do that to establish that number.
And prior to you coming here, we weren't anywhere close to that, were we?
I don't know. The previous city administrator didn't have a breakdown like this, but there was nothing on the books that required it.
Right.
I think we were,
We
well below that.
set it at 50%, didn't we? And then we changed it down to.
We dropped it down to 40 because we don't have the reserves in there. We moved a lot of that into the capital project. All right.
The one, they didn't talk about the Chamber of Commerce's.
Yeah. And I did spend some time with Dina this morning. She was disappointed to see that funding cut. I understand her disappointment. But I did, convey to her that we were trying to make some decisions on a few things, and we felt like, Placer AI was something that we really needed to continue on with for the data. She agreed that needed to continue.
Yeah.
I gave you some talking points that the president of the chamber passed along. That she did make some good points. They did help with Prop S and help pushing that message out for us when City Hall really couldn't advocate for that. We could individually as elected officials, but the city as a whole could not advocate for that. They did help with that quite a bit, and they did bring up that. Obviously the bed tax that the county's going to try to push and, some other initiatives
And an increase
at the city level, that it'd probably be at the forefront of that too, which are both, valid points. So, Bethany, the president, she was unable to attend tonight and Dina was unable to attend as well. They're in the process of moving, all their license office and chamber stuff into the new location. So
Nice of them to do that. I think they should do it with or without $5,000. Inherent on them to try and make the business community tourism more attractive.
Sure.
And the $5,000 is, I wouldn't say that it's crucial to being able to continue on.
okay.
Does the county participate with them?
The county does, I believe, give them an amount too.
I thought
do
the
they not?
county
Or-
they let them rent free in that building that they now had to move out of.
Yeah, and that may have changed now that they moved into the new building. So I really don't know the details behind that arrangement right
So
now.
I guess it was the old courthouse or whatever at the end of, or Third and Merchant, they used to,
Oh.
they had that building rent free. The county needed them to move out so they could expand some offices. So they had to find another place, another place.
Yeah, well, in the license office, that lease was about to come up too, and that was not going to be renewed. So they were looking for a location for both things, the license office and the chamber. They were going to be out of a home in both locations, so they had to move.
They combined.
Mm-hmm. Which made a lot of sense, and I really do think that it will be good for them to be in the building town over here.
I think there was a law went into effect today, this transient guest tax. And it specifically spells out counties of St. Genevieve and Perry are added to the list of counties authorized to impose a transient guest tax for the promotion of tourism.
Yes,
That's what you were talking about.
yes.
Oh,
We got it.
Yep, yep.
We've been working on that for about a year now to try to get that, because right now the city is the only one in the county that has a bed tax, a transit.
right.
Yeah, that was a joint, Perry County was part of that.
Mhm. St. James County.
Yeah,
St. James.
Added to. It was
You,
just-
you might ask Aaron if you had any further questions about that. I know Aaron was really working with, I can't recall her
Trish
name.
Ersveld.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. It's just that transient guest tax just was a little different terminology for what it
Well,
was.
so what happened, Perryville didn't have it on camping sites and RV parks or something, I can't remember.
Right.
There was a couple of different entities that they didn't have, so they wanted to change the state ordinance or the state statute for them as well. So we kind of went together with them and created a joint bill at the state level so that we could change ours and add in a county one and raise the city one. And Perryville wanted to kind of add in some additional businesses that they wanted to be able to.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming out. But the trick about that was we would have liked to put that on the ballot in November for increasing that bed tax and starting one in the county. But the bill just went into effect today and you had to file for the November election back on two days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. So we just missed the cutoff line. So you'll probably see that bed tax on the ballot in April coming forward.
But she did bring up a concern about this Placer AI funding and the fact that the city funds the whole thing, kind of a separate topic, but that the TTC should be paying.
Yeah, she mentioned that to me and I didn't know exactly.
Yeah, I don't.
The problem with that is that I don't know if Placer AI specifically applies to tourism, which is what those funds are restricted for, just tourism. So we've talked about applying it also as an economic development piece that we can do some research and some studies. We've used it mostly with tourism because we want to track what we're doing. But I don't know if that applies to that fund and whether that would be legal to use that money or not. So it's best just to leave it in general fund.
So
But we could restrict it just for the tourism department. Dave would have to relinquish his login, or it would be just used for tourism. And right now, Dave said he hasn't used it that much.
But it says promotion of tourism. That's kind of the way the language reads. So that's not promoting tourism. That's just getting a fee, just getting a read as to what you're doing and if it's correct. I know, but
Yeah, I think you could make an argument though that they're using the data to target market for tourism. I mean, is that roundabout? Am I really into the weeds with that? I'm just
because I'm in the weeds.
Thinking out
I don't
loud.
think it. I think it works better coming out of general fund and it applies more.
Sure.
Than it does coming out of TTC.
is that something for further discussion between tourism and TTC or?
well, that's a state statute, correct?
Well-
What governs the TTC?
And that's an interpretation as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they can discuss it maybe for next year's budget and work their way through that.
So are we interested in compromising with the chamber or are we just interested in yes or no?
I can't imagine not supporting the chamber in this in some way.
And I think we do. So I'm going to interject saying that I believe that we do because we are members of the chamber and we support them in any of their efforts as they support us in our efforts. However, with that funding that we are giving them, they have one mission, we have a different mission. And I don't know if we should be funding their mission at that with taxpayer money. But we attend events, we go to whatever the gala that they have, and we're paying for that. We're paying out of our tax funds in addition to. So if we're not getting anything but that 6,000 that we're giving now, so I think that I don't think that's. Again, I think they have a different mission than what we do. They interrelate, but that 6,000 should not be for that group any more than it should be for Rotary, should be for Lions Club, should be for any other nonprofit civic club or organization that does benefit the city. And they do a great job. They're very involved and there's a lot of things going on. But I from the time I started here, that was one of the things that I looked at and went, I'm not sure about that. Just from my perspective.
So any idea how long we've been doing it or?
It's been around for some time.
5 years I've been here.
It's been here all, but I thought so, but
Do other cities pay into their Chamber of Commerce?
Most belong. as members.
But don't
Do they pay in and support?
No, there's no subsidy.
the three cities that I've lived in, nobody, the chamber is an independent organization, as you say, with its own mission, philosophy, raising money, doing all the rest, and it was not expected that the city would fund their.
And what is the dues amount we're paying?
300 something.
300 something.
Like 371 or something along those lines.
So back to my question, are we willing to compromise or yes or no?
I think it's philosophical, either we should be supporting them or not supporting them. I see no reason to support them. They need more money, raise their dues. Why should we be taking taxpayer money and subsidizing their work? Raise their dues.
Well, I think that our missions do overlap. I know you use a different word, Happy, as far as, but our missions do overlap. And so I think taking some of those city funds and gearing towards economic development, which the chamber does, I think that's a vital mission. We're paying towards our Parkland Ready, which is also an economic development tool that the city needs. We don't have someone here in the city that focuses on economic development. We've got Aaron that kind of quasi does a tiny bit in the promotion of tourism, but we don't have an entity, and a lot of cities, not necessarily some of our size, but a lot of cities have an economic development person that's their sole mission, is to get people, to get businesses to invest and build and move into their town. So the chamber does that in their mission, and so we're not subsidizing their budget for no reason. We are getting some major benefits to what the chamber does for us as a city.
So list those major benefits of economic development that have come to the city due to their efforts.
Well, they are part of the IDC, right? So they help with the IDC. So that if you want to look at what they do for the IDC, then you can start putting those two together. If you want me to give you a list of accomplishments, I don't know if I can give you one off the top of my head as far as a list of accomplishments, what the chamber and the IDC have done for the city.
Well, I would put the IDC was the major driver on the whole Progress Parkway development, far more than the chamber, as far as I could tell, including when it came up to the vote. I didn't see the chamber working at all on increasing the vote. I didn't see signage that they paid for, radio ads that they paid for.
For the vote for
the varnish.
Province.
Oh,
The IDC did.
The IDC did. That's the economic engine driver, I think.
Well, it goes back to what Happy was saying, us supporting a nonprofit. If we're doing this one, then we should be also funding the Lions, the Rotary, everything else.
The way I look at it,
We support
it was probably
Barry.
a pretty good shock to them to know they're not getting the 6,000. Now, I don't know if they figured that in with their move, expecting to get that, or what, but,
Does it right on the plan.
and we just abruptly said, you're not getting it.
Well, this was a topic of discussion last year during budget time too.
Well,
And the
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Okay.
but if I
Yeah,
remember,
but I mean,
So they knew something was gonna change.
but we've also had when the chamber took over the license office, in order to get public support in that, because I don't think that was an easy process to go from a private individual to a group, an organization running it. The previous people pledged to basically take the money that they made and return it back to the schools, return it back to the community. And I don't know what they did or didn't do, but that's what they ran their license office based off of. Then when the announcement came that the chamber was taking it over, they basically touted it as it being a way to self-fund the Chamber of Commerce. And
kind of.
hasn't, well, I mean, that's what they.
Well, if I could interject, because I was on the chamber board when that appointment was made, when the chamber was awarded the license office, and there's an agreement in place with a separate board that any profit made from the license office goes to a foundation that they then award that money out into the community. So there is another board within that board that oversees that part of it.
So they're in a sense doing the same thing as the private.
Correct.
That's my understanding.
Correct. They were up against a private owner who owned multiple license offices, and they were operating as a for-profit venture.
Right.
When the chamber's main point of their bid was that they would take any net profit and that money would transfer. So we set up a separate foundation where that money would go from the chamber to that foundation at the end of the fiscal year.
Net profit of just the license office?
Just the license office.
Okay, because I guess maybe I understood it wrong at the time. I thought it was net profit of the Chamber of Commerce because of the revenue of the license office.
No, they isolated the license office separately from the chamber. So chamber revenue is separate, license office, when I was on the board. Now, that could have changed since I came off that board, but at that time it was set up as two separate revenue streams. And that, because per the bid the chamber made, that was part of the bid that had to happen. That they had to designate a path for that money then to be awarded out into the community. And I couldn't tell you where that money has gone since that time. I don't know where it's been awarded, but the idea at that time was it could go to grants, it could go to scholarships, it could go to, they were wanting to inject that money back out into the community in some way. That was the mission at that time.
And to go back to Proposition S, they had direct money involved in passing Proposition S. They had direct funds in campaign for Proposition S. And they run the IDC, so they fund and support the IDC, who is probably our biggest economic development engine that we have. And so if the chamber's not funded, how well does the IDC then function with a secretary and a staff and a support team behind them? I don't know. But right now, that's how we've been doing it between the chamber and the IDC. So you are right, the IDC probably looks stronger in an economic development role, but it's because the IDC is managed underneath the chamber.
Would we want to negotiate? Say we offer them 3,000 this year, and next year it'd be 0.
I'm in favor of just not cutting it off totally, but basically something of the sort of something, giving them something and saying, that's it. We can't continue to do this,
Yeah.
rather than at
Give
the
them half this year, and then tell them
end
the
of our
next year
budget
is
year here,
going
say
away.
0.
I think half.
We're not comfortable with it.
Well, that's why I thought compromise might be the better.
Then maybe they'll
Probably something we should have never started, but
We've been doing it for 25 years.
Well, and my understanding of the 6,000 was that it was left over when it was put into place after there was an economic development person or arm or something within the county that was
County and
doing
city
that.
needs to split it.
Correct. And then that person went away, and then it was deemed that chamber would assume that role, and then that money, is that your understanding of this?
We had 3. Chamber funded it, the county funded it, and the city funded that salary for that position.
And then that position went away, and the
They had
chamber
3
more or
bosses.
less.
He wasn't successful, and he had 3 bosses, and he wasn't successful. So that position went away after a year and a half, 2 years, and so that was the
intention was there for economic development, is what it was.
Those events the chamber are involved in, like the music series and that, does the chamber pay for that themselves, or does that?
Yes.
They pay for that?
Yes, through
I guess I'm leading up.
sponsorships.
right.
and-
Yeah, they charge for people attending.
I guess I'm leading up to a question. Are they in dire straits? Do they need the money? Or is it just a luxury that we're giving it to them?
I can't answer that.
That's what it says.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
If they were coming up short and gonna have to cut a program, And we could look at it in a different light. If they're funded, functionally funded, that's another reason to cut it back.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're spot on. I don't know, and I don't know the financials there, so I couldn't speak to it, and I wouldn't want to guess.
Right, it's an impossible number to get. I just would hate to see them cut something because they don't have the money, because we.
Agree.
Yeah. But I'm for the compromise. Myself.
One thing, if we offer something as a compromise, we're telling them, you appreciate what you did for us and how you've supported us over these years. But this will be the last time. There'll be no funding.
Well, is there a consensus on, I mean, I've heard a few things. Cut the funding in half this year and try to determine if that's okay, and then maybe have a conversation about future years at that point.
Can I make a motion that we cut it in half?
You
Well,
absolutely could, yeah.
I don't know that I want to give them the indication that we want to continue it. But I'd like to give them, if we are going to discontinue it, give them fair warning.
Sure.
Not just bang and it's gone.
Well, I'm happy to have a conversation with Dina about it if you'd like. I know we want to bring a first reading of this and at the first meeting in September.
Yeah, if you're asking why she's not here, her son's home from deployment.
Yeah, she could not be. I forgot about that piece of it too.
So that's,
yes.
That's why she's not here and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about that piece too. I should have mentioned that, but yeah, they've got a lot going on at the chamber, and Dina, of course, personal. I'm happy to proceed however you guys see fit, and if you'd like for me to have the conversation with her, I'm more than happy to do that as well.
I mean, if you want 3,000 in there, we'll put 3,000.
Does it need to be a motion? He has a
I
motion.
don't know if there needs to be a motion. I
Just a
need-
consensus.
I need to know which way to go and revising the budget.
I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot, but and we need to do at least the 3,000.
We could swap it with Parkland Ready.
Yeah.
It's almost a like for like swap.
Yep.
I mean, Dina comes to every meeting. The chamber's far more present in what we do than Parkland Ready ever has been.
I'm game to swap it.
Yeah,
I think that's a
that
good idea.
brings up a topic and stuff like that of their absence. That's an issue.
Parkland Ready?
Yes.
And it's not for lack of trying. We have attempted to,
We attend the meetings. I think
We've-
pretty regular. I've been.
well, we've tried to get him to come to
Our
IDC meetings, and I don't believe that's happened.
We haven't had one since we took on the full role here.
No, but I'm talking previously.
Yeah.
Not necessarily get him to this meeting, but I know that they attempted to try to get him to an IDC meeting previously.
Well, but that was the IDC chamber combined, so I
Oh.
didn't feel that was the appropriate time for.
Oh, okay.
I
Was
wanted
that
to
what-
come just to an
Oh, okay,
IDC
okay.
meeting.
I wasn't
Because that's the
sure how
group
that
that
works.
really needs to understand what
Yeah,
he's
I-
thinking and get input from that group. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're the drivers.
What was that amount?
51, 54.
We'll be saving some money.
Pardon me?
We'll be saving some money.
That raises a good point.
I would hate to see us lose these engines for our community. We don't have anybody out there looking for this, and we don't have a lot of entrepreneurs left in the city. So it's tough when you start shutting things down like this. I know it's tempting to try to cut $5,000, $6,000 from the budget, but these are the people that are making connections and networking. And there's not a lot of people just knocking at the city gate saying, hey, I want to get in. So if you don't have somebody out there searching and making phone calls and going to seminars and going to, networking events, we're not going to get a lot of people trying to invest in St. Genevieve.
And that's one thing Scott does, is he goes to the conferences, the state conferences, and represents the 4 counties, but he's out there talking us up and trying to get developers.
No.
No.
Parkland Ready.
Parkland
Parkland
Ready.
Ready.
Sorry.
So is that amount of his, how did we come up with that amount? That's what they asked for?
It's based on population. It's divided between the 4 counties.
So there is a calculation we can't take from that and give to.
Well, and I think there's still an opportunity, as Happy mentioned, to potentially try to find a cost-sharing avenue for the Parkland Ready as well. I'm not so sure the IDC wouldn't pitch in for that if possible, if they were in a position to do so. But I think they'd be a logical ask if the county's not in a position to share it.
Well.
So if we leave that number in there,
We asked Bloomsdale, apparently.
Yes.
They had no interest.
No response.
Same area as well.
so if we leave that $6,000 number in there for the chamber and stuff, I mean, can we delay that for further discussions or?
We need to decide, so I can finish the budget and get it ready for September, because September you have to
Right.
read it twice, and you're not gonna read them at the same meeting, so we gotta have it ready. Now, we can have another meeting next Thursday and decide it. But we're trying to avoid that.
I mean, we can budget it. We don't necessarily have to send the funds.
Right.
We can
Correct.
we can have this discussion. We can have the chamber come and plead their case and have
I
the
think there's enough
IDC,
interest.
the IDC can come as well.
Right.
And tell us, the IDC can basically come as well and explain how.
We could do some bargaining on that if we could do some bargaining on it. Like you said, we could budget for it and then.
So
Yeah,
that's all
just-
we would change, right, is we would just say like, instead of the 6,000, we're gonna do 3,000.
We could do that after allocating 6 for it if we wanted to,
Like, we can do 3.
Or less.
or we could do.
Well,
Yeah,
We just at least
I think 3
budget
is
for it
fair.
now and have another and have them, come explain to us.
The 6 would be.
They can come to the next one and talk to us.
Yeah, the 6 would be like an up to number. It's up to this amount.
if we take it out completely, it's harder to put back in than it
Well,
is
just what I'm
to
saying,
produce.
change it for a 3. And we're willing to get 3,000 this year. Come talk to us for the next meeting.
I think if we pursue it with them of some things they can help us with and push towards that, we may see more results in the future.
Really?
Let's do it.
Well,
Let's go.
I know there's another tax issue being talked about, so
So what's your pleasure? 3,000, 6,000?
We can always cut it back. I'd put the full amount in there and let them come plead their case.
Okay.
That's up.
Everybody okay with that? Let them come and talk to us and then we'll decide from there what the
Yeah.
actual
Well,
amount would be.
yeah,
No,
but in your discussion with them, the
No.
cut is a very real possibility.
Yeah. I think you need to stress that.
we're not gonna do the 6,000. Let's just
We don't
cut to the chase and tell them this is what we're willing to do. Then let them explain why they need more money or what. Let them know next year we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna finance it.
There's a reason other cities don't fund the Chamber of Commerce.
Right, and we're gonna stop it next
They have
year.
dues that they're doing good work. That's on the expense to the due paying members.
I agree, but I don't think we should just cut it off and then go live your life. Let's do it friendly. We still like the chamber. Let's keep them happy. That might make them happy.
Okay, so what,
And tell them, like Teddy says there, you're getting 3,000 this year, but next year we're gonna eliminate it from the budget so they can figure themselves to function without that, instead of being the road pulled completely under them for that level of money.
Next year at the budget time, there could be half a new board here saying something different, so.
Well, we can't see the future, so we don't know what they're gonna do.
okay, let's just, I think we've got 2 numbers we're deciding between. Let's just go around the room and decide 3 or 6. How about that?
Okay, if you want one more little piece,
Yeah.
actually, we're not the only city that does, support and fund the chamber. Jackson, Missouri funds their chamber to the tune of $25,000.
Good for them.
Wow.
They're pretty big too.
Must have a lot of money.
Okay, three or six?
3,000.
I know you don't want to do it like this, but I don't.
Go to somebody else.
0.
Okay,
I haven't decided yet.
I would budget the full amount and then, if we need to pull back, we
so I've
can.
got a 3,
I
a
agree
0,
with that.
and a 6. Okay, I've got 2 6, I've got 2 3s.
I've decided. Let's do the 6 and negotiate.
Approve, I mean, that we're budgeting that, not approving the expense.
Correct.
We're budgeting it and in case, if they can plead their case, I'm fine with it, but,
Okay,
So you're fine to give them
Okay.
6,000
I just
say
said,
they need.
I said if they plead their case.
I'm
They have
sick,
to
but that's
do
not meaning they're gonna get it all.
okay. Okay, I think we got a consensus, so we'll put the 6 in there, we'll have a discussion with them, and we'll talk about the future as part of that discussion.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Okay, now, before I let you get too far away, I wanted Happy to run some additional numbers for us. If those who've gone through this process before, after we did the salary study and we implemented the step structure into the compensation for city employees. If you recall, last year we looked at a few different options from a step raise only, a step plus a COLA. There were certain allotments. We had the step raise. I asked Happy to explore a step plus COLA adjustment just for us to look at. We didn't consider it initially. It wasn't talked about. I just wanted to present the numbers to you all to look at. So we do have that data, correct?
Yeah, so I can go over it quite simply instead of you're worrying about looking at another spreadsheet and your eyes crossing. So based on just the step raise, we had 85,220. That was the difference between operations and what our revenues are. If we put in a 2.6% adjustment, which is what was recommended by CBIZ, they did our salary study. So every year they send us information as to what they recommend to adjust salaries, adjust administration, stuff like that. It then drops down to, in the general fund, to 77,313. So you're off about another $6,000. Our 49% goes down to 48% of what we need for our reserve fund. So we're still below the 50%. And then in the enterprise and dedicated funds, because we have funds that come out of water and sewer, it increases at about $2,000. So you have about 2,000 less in water and sewer, or not, sorry, 1,000 less in water and sewer.
And to clarify, the step raise on its own was 2%.
And it ranged from 1.6 to 2.1. It depends on the compression numbers that they came up with on trying to make separation.
So it's either 0.5% or a full % increase above what,
Yeah.
depending on the
Yeah,
employee.
so you could be 3 to 4% is what the increase is with the COLA raise.
So Happy, I want to go back to our Prop P thing that will be going away, because in Prop P, we never did ever limit the increases in property values, which affected that total fund that we had available to pass on for salaries. So we were giving double increases with that, or did we not?
I think the Prop P was to bring the police department up. That was to set them at a level. So then we did the salary study, which then brought them to another level, but it is a market amount between the 3 divisions that it's in, of, officer, corporals and sergeants, and then the police and the chief. So we have what the numbers should be from top to bottom, from beginning to end salaries. So we have established what those numbers should be now, instead of just randomly picking them out of who's making what, how much time have they had in service, that sort of stuff.
But I know, but we dedicated that whole fund to police officer salaries and stuff. So that fund naturally by appraisals, reappraisals is going to increase and has increased, correct?
It has dropped because we are compromising because of the fire department. So instead of dropping general fund, which is difficult then to get back, we have dropped the Prop P amount because we have established what the police department's pay should be. So this year, instead of $217,000 to help offset what the police department salaries are, we're getting $80,000. We're estimating $80,910 out of $938,000 for their salaries.
So with the changes in Prop P, you're saying that that number will not increase then?
It'll increase, but it's a small amount because we've reduced it by about $140,000.
So just the difference between the 140 and the,
That was the reduction that the board wanted based on the fire department's budget year to year. And that was the average. The average we came up with was a little over $137,000.
So you're asking if we want to consider the step and the COLA?
Yeah, and one other thing that complicated matters is that we didn't get the CBIZ data until, was it just this week?
Yeah, it was late last week.
Late last week, so we didn't have a chance to really see what their recommendation was gonna be, because that's part of what we paid for, was them offering us out, like, what those adjustments would be year over year, based on, you know, all the inflationary factors.
But this is for every employee, not just the police department.
Correct, this would be, this
Across the board.
So,
across the board.
I mean, my personal opinion is, because I'm dealing with this where I work is, and I've run many numbers over the last few months, it costs a hell of a lot more, or a hell of a lot less to retain an employee by raises than it is to retrain, or to hire somebody and train them. You lose so much money, productivity, years of experience, knowledge. I mean, it takes a good year or so to get somebody acclimated to a position. And I think we need to pay to keep retention. The chief said it earlier, he's up to full staff. That's the first time he's reported that in months. You know, I know Alliance is different, but, you know, we don't have the turnover rates anymore like, well, we used to, and that's because we've upped our salaries. But costs are still going up, and I think we need to make, even though they're small steps, we have to keep making small steps before we get behind again. And I just think it's cheaper to retain than it is to hire new.
so do you never look at income compared to, if our income doesn't go up, we can't pass
We're
out?
cutting the amount we're putting in reserves. Or go by 1%. To me, it's not that much of a decrease, and we're gonna get more on the back end of it. Because we're gonna spend that money training new people all the time. And then they decide they wanna go somewhere else, so we just wasted that money. The revolving door costs us more that people don't look at than, I wanna pay to keep people here. I'm tired of training new people. I'm tired of, you know, every time somebody comes in, it's like, oh, you work for the city? I've never met you. You know, I think it looks bad on the community when every time they come here, there's all different faces. We need to pay to retain. Especially in the police department, because, you know, some of the knowledge that they have of, well, what's going on here? This isn't like this. What's that person doing out walking the streets this late at night? You keep getting newer and newer people in, and they don't know the history. They don't know, you know, you gotta have experience. That's what keeps our community safe. But that goes across, you know, people coming in the front door too. You know, if they come in every time and somebody different is sitting at Dave Woods' desk, you're gonna be like, wow, they can't keep people. You know, Pam's been here 100 years, you know.
We should throw a party.
You know, it'd be great if
Celebrate your centennial.
Happy's only staying 5 years.
Joe, I'm not advocating for no raises. I'm just financial sustainability.
I've seen it too much that you gotta start putting an investment in your employees and retaining them. They're not staying here solely because it's a great place to work anymore. They still have bills to pay, all the other costs of living. That's what it's called, a cost of living increase. Their expenses are going up and they're not getting compensated to keep up with it. Now, can we make it the full percent, or, you know, the cost of living's gone up more than that percentage you're talking about. The raises have to somewhat keep up, or else we're not gonna keep it, because I guarantee the county is giving, they're starting out at what, 85,000? I think they advertised the other day. We're not even close to that.
And I would just put out, I mean, CBIZ, we did pay for all of that. We did go through that. This is part of their service. This is what they recommended. You know, I'm just saying if we wanted to follow that, having seen the data finally, and I wanted to make sure we got it out to you all, just because I didn't want to muddy the waters. That wasn't the point of that, but I feel like we wouldn't have considered all the factors if we didn't look at it, at least. Especially given their recommendation. That was kind of the reason why. And I know it's not great timing. I know we just kind of finalized a lot of things just there, but I think it's worth talking about. If for no other reason than, you know.
No, the whole survey, you know, settled a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff.
And I know it was eye-opening data at the time, and I kind of came in right at the end of that. And I know there was a lot of work that led up to that. You know, when I joined this board here, that had just happened.
Right.
We had just gotten that data. So what led up to that, you know, I don't know all that went into that, but I know it was a process, and, you know, I think we learned a few things from that too. And we're paying for that data. We paid for that data, right? And that's what they're offering. So, but it's another tool that, you know, we put in there to try to make sure for checks and balances that we were competitive with our peers, and with keeping up with, you know, the cost of living and, you know, what we're seeing.
You know, when we commit to a budget, we commit to expenses for an entire year with an unknown income. That's the simplest terms to put it and stuff. You know, whether you do it personally, I don't write checks I can't cover. You know, and that's why the caution part of me, you know,
oh, absolutely,
makes comments like that and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
I've always referred to it, a budget as an educated guess starting day one. You know, and that's exactly what it is. I've done them numerous, but.
No, I agree with Joe that the most important thing that we need to take care of is our people. Our people make us. They're doing excellent jobs. They deserve it. And I don't know, that's the way I feel. And retain what you have, because you got the best.
Good point. Okay, so now that I have sufficiently muddied the waters, what would you like to, I know you haven't looked at this data, but is it something that we do want to, the overall impact to the numbers that you're seeing, Happy, you correct me if I'm wrong, is somewhere in the $9,000 range?
9,000 total, but that's in the two different funds.
Correct.
So it's around 6,000 in general fund where it affects it the most.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to drop from 48 to 47%, say, by reallocating the chamber money.
Yeah.
But it may not. It may, there may be more room there than I know.
Okay.
But still within the amount that the board approved that we can have as for the reserve.
And there's also gonna be a lot of savings on the back end. Like I said, retention is key, and the more we can retain, the less we got and I can't really say for any other department other than the police department, you know, it's gonna cut our overtime. And I find it hard to believe that, you know, they're not gonna make up a couple $1,000s in overtime by being fully staffed for a full year instead of a revolving door. I mean, I think it's money well spent.
So are we still staying with a percentage increase or?
I say percentage of COLA.
So you have a step raise, and then there's, in addition to that would be 2.6%. So what we do is adjust the step raise chart and increase it by that amount. And then it's.
Total adjustments, 2.6?
No.
Okay.
In addition.
Total
So
adjustment.
you have the step raise, and then you have a 2.6% increase. So next year, we know where everybody sits in their category.
I'll give my same thing I give every year about that since I've been on the board is I don't like percentage increases across the board. I like everybody getting the same, you know, because whether you're making $30,000 a year or $90,000 a year, the increase in the cost of a loaf of bread costs everybody the same.
So you like a flat amount, not a percentage amount. You like $1 as opposed to.
Yeah, I like
2.6%.
everybody getting the same. I think that's because we looked at the cost of living, we get a percentage there and stuff, but everybody's increase is the same, you know, for everything they buy, whether you're making $30,000 a year or $90,000 a year. And I think being more fair with giving everybody the same is Joe's smiling, so.
No, I agree.
Pardon me?
I agree. And what Bob's saying is that if you make 90,000, you're making more money. Your separation is moving,
Yeah,
you know. And
the gap widens with a
Gets a
percentage.
couple bucks, he gets
Yeah.
hundreds of bucks. So,
We don't
I
have,
would say a flat or something. Instead of a percent, because everybody's getting the same percent, they're just making more money.
It
You might
drives,
want to stay if we pass it.
if you give everybody percentage, it drives the wages further apart from the
Right,
lowest paid and the
right.
highest paid. So that's,
But there is an end scale to that. Once you beat it, you don't get any more step increases. There's a gap, there's a
There's a ceiling
There's
there.
a ceiling to the step raises.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Mhm.
For each position.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know that.
But that's how you get your longevity too.
We're
that's what
into
I do
it.
every year. So.
Well, ultimately, it's up to you guys what you think. I just wanted to present the data. So I'm open to whatever you guys would like to pursue from here. We know what that number looks like. That's
Right.
gonna, I didn't have them consider any other scenarios. Just what CBIZ, because that's what they recommended and that's who we contracted with. So,
You know, the lower wage you are, the harder it is to make ends meet and stuff. I mean, that's. Just my theory.
it was, you're not wrong. What do you think?
Sam?
It's time for
I mean, I agree with the argument too about percentage wages, our percentages being not necessarily fair.
but most of our salaries are compressed into a pretty tight range. We don't have as many, making
What happened?
90.
Yeah, what happens if the COLA increase puts them above their max step increase?
Does
that make
everything,
sense?
it adjusts. So when I put it in, and that's why I like the percentage as opposed to the dollar, it's easy for me just to put the percentage amount in there, and then all of the rows increase based on that percentage. So they stay in their same step category, and then we move to the next step category.
But it's still a bigger, it's still widening gap.
$20 an hour gets you $4.
From top to bottom?
$10 an hour gets you $2.
Okay,
But the people that started out lower did that all along as well. You know what I'm saying? I heard you say the higher and lower. Does that make sense? For the higher and lower? The higher people were at the lower time once as well.
Yeah, they worked their way up, but, what I was saying is, you make 30,000, you get 4%. That's what you get. But if I make 60,000, and I get 4%.
You're getting more.
You're getting more because you're making more.
Yeah.
But I ain't saying they don't deserve it, because if they work their way up, they do deserve it.
Is there a way to come up with a numerical average? Like what,
well,
say a guy making 80,000 gets a 4% raise. Since this guy a 4% raise, take his 4% on 80,000, and average that together and give each one of them an equal raise. I mean, get what I'm saying?
well, but we look at a dollar amount that we have for a total, and that's what we,
2.6 times the salary.
right, that's how we come up with either a flat raise or a percentage raise.
I personally think that's fair because everybody had to start from the bottom and work your way up. So no matter what, it goes off your salary. You get 2.6 on your salary that you make. I know it might not seem fair to some, but they were once there at that point one time too. It's taken years to get there. They just need to stay in their position for a while longer.
Oh, we have some division in scales from somebody just walking in the door to somebody who's been here.
No, I understand. It happens all the time.
Right.
Like new hires get as much pay as the ones that's been there for 20 years. You see it all the time. It doesn't necessarily make it fair, but it's reality.
But that should be adjusted in the wage
So
the
what-
day you start.
But what are, you're looking for input from, is it the 2.6 and a COLA?
No.
They would get their step raise,
Step is
and then 2.6 would be the COLA raise.
And is that the maximum? I don't know what would be.
That's our recommendation.
That's the-
That was the recommendation.
Yeah, that's from the salary company.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in favor of that, and if we get strained, we should cut things out of our budget, as we just talked about, things that we're paying for that we don't need. I think we should take care of our employees first.
Well, in years past, and this is no fault of yours, I mean, even your predecessor before you, we always say, okay, well, this year, let's just do step raises are new, obviously, but like we would say something like, let's do the step raise, let's do the 2.6 this year. But next year, let's start this discussion 4 months prior to budget and hammer out more specific numbers, but we never do it.
Well, I don't know when CBIZ, do we just have to engage them to get that data to us, or do they just provide it at a certain time?
It's because it's an annual review that they do, based on salaries, the cost of living, what our competitors are.
Well, I'm thinking of the timing of it.
And it's always gonna come out in August.
August, okay, okay. So it's always gonna come out in August. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Bad timing.
Yeah, it just doesn't, unfortunately, it condenses our timeline, so we don't get the data till right before we technically have to vote on it.
Step increase?
No,
No, the COLA.
Oh, the COLA?
Because that's what they're gonna provide. We've already got, the steps are already mapped out, more or less. It's just what their recommendation is based on, for cost of living. That's what they're gonna provide us.
We usually have a general idea, but we can still start the discussion sooner than trying to hash it out in one work session.
Yeah, and we may be able to get close to that number ahead of time and say, okay, this is maybe where we're thinking it would come. So we could present the two options maybe in the first draft, just to have them there. And then we could adjust as needed based on what CBIZ
All right.
provides.
The recommendation for the step and the, what was it, 2.6?
Yep.
2.6 as proposed.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
Well, it's not a, I
It's
mean,
not a vote.
it's a general vote.
Is everybody,
I'm for it.
yep. Alderwoman Dunn?
Yeah, I'm good.
What if we just did like 2% instead of 2.6?
You don't even know.
I think we got a consensus.
I think it is.
We could stay here and argue it for another half hour.
I'm good.
Air conditioners off.
If you are, I'm getting
I don't
sand.
think anybody's arguing.
Oh, no, I'm just,
You come up with
discuss it. How about
fair
that?
way to
Better.
calculate it.
Argue wasn't the right word. Discuss. Spirited discussion.
I'd say
I think we
10%
did.
for everybody, but since he's leaving,
Yeah.
Let's do it, Jar.
Not yet.
See?
All right, anything else to discuss, or everybody had their fill?
Let's go.
Adjourn.
Thank you all.